And good morning. Big up to all of you. It's your boy MarkN, MUFC fan, and you know what it is. It's the Manchester United morning views, guys, and we got a lot to talk about. Jason Wilcox is here. What is he gonna do? Is definitely gonna make some improvements. As we know, he's a very, very well-renowned recruitment specialist from the Man City Academy and group all the way to Southampton, and now he's at Manchester United. And a lot of fans may have noticed he was at Wembley watching the game. What is he here for? And it's reported that he's here to specialize in recruitment, style of play, and the vision for the future. And as we all know, the under 18s just won their league with 4 games left. Guys, is the future bright? What's happening? What is going on? Let us know what you think in the comments, guys. And if you're new, smash a like and subscribe. Don't forget to let everyone know that you are here. Retweet if you're on X. And don't forget to leave your comments and criticisms. Big up to all of you joining us. Let's get into the show. Sir Jim Ratcliffe hands Jason Wilcox special Eric Ten Hag assignment as doubts mount over the Man United boss. Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos have reportedly asked the new technical director Jason Wilcox to undertake a thorough audit of the job done by Eric Ten Hag this season, as top brass contemplate whether or not to part ways with the Dutch coach. Ten Hag's job is far from secure after a very underwhelming performance in the campaign this season. Currently has United in 7th position in Premier League after 12 top-flight defeats. The Red Devils are almost certainly set to miss out on Champions League football and are facing an uphill battle to qualify for the Europa League. With their rivals rapidly closing in, Ten Hag's claim to remain at Old Trafford dugout was dealt another significant blow last weekend as his side narrowly won on penalties to the edge-out championship outfit Coventry City in the FA Cup semi-final. United had a commanding 3-0 lead with 20 minutes of regular time left on the clock, but when Coventry scored their first of the game, the players completely crumbled. They surrendered their lead as Coventry forced the match to a head into extra time. Mark Robin's side said they thought they had won it at the death, but their winning goal was ruled out by VAR because Haji Wright, who was supplied the cross, was deemed to have been offside. Luckily, United showed some stronger mental fortitude in the ensuing penalty shootout to sail through the final, where they will face Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. The performance and the manner of capitulation left a lot to be desired. Ten Hag himself admitted the 20-time English champions got away with it despite his insistence that the win was not embarrassing. Ratcliffe and Wilcox, whose appointment was officially confirmed on Friday, were at Wembley to watch the game. The Telegraph reports that Ratcliffe has instructed Wilcox to immediately kickstart a review of Ten Hag before Ineos make a decision on whether to keep or sack him at the end of the campaign. The newspaper relays that Erik ten Hag will effectively be on trial over the next month as Manchester United's new technical director, Jason Wilcox, will conduct an audit of the manager's credentials and dressing room relations before the club makes a final decision on the Dutchman's future. Telegraph Sport understands that United have tasked Wilcox with providing a detailed assessment of Ten Hag's strengths and weaknesses and relationship with the squad to better determine whether his approach can fit the overarching style of play and philosophy they intend to pursue, or if a change of manager is necessary. Sunday's implosion in front of United's new kingpin Sir Jim Ratcliffe did Ten Hag no favours, and there is an acceptance that the situation could become unsustainable should United miss out on Europe entirely. But the starting point has been a desire to explore whether the manager can realistically operate within the so-called game model Wilcox and impending sporting director Dan Ashworth seek to implement. James Ducker further notes Wilcox, who was formally appointed as the club's new technical director on Friday and at Wembley to watch United narrowly survive a huge scare to set up a rematch of last year's cup final with Manchester City, is expected to closely appraise Ten Hag's training sessions over the coming weeks. He will also hold extensive talks with the manager, staff, and players during his analysis. It's understood that Wilcox remit will also be extended to include whether or not Ten Hag has fostered a cordial relations with his players amidst suggestions of falling out with Jadon Sancho and fractures in his association with Marcus Rashford and Alejandro Garnacho. Wilcox has been tasked with determining whether United's poor performances this team have been driven by the injury crisis and the plague that plagued the team, or whether there are deeper concerns such as players ignoring the coaching staff's instructions, and whether or not Ten Hag is flexible enough to adapt to the constantly changing circumstances. If Ten Hag is found culpable, United will decide whether or not Ten Hag will be open to a different approach. If not, the 54-year-old coach could be cut loose. The Telegraph note, Old Trafford hierarchy recognize a decision on Ten Hag's future must be made by the end of the season, so Wilcox does not have long to provide his review. United's final Premier League game is away at Brighton on May 19th, with the cup final against City due to take place at Wembley 6 days later. It's believed that there is some reluctance to relieve Ten Hag of his duties because of unavailability of credible or viable options to replace him. However, Ineos are of the opinion that some very interesting and talented young coaches working in Europe, including Bologna's Thiago Motta, Girona's Michel, Brighton's Roberto De Zerbi, and Ruben Amorim of Sporting, there is an acceptance that whatever appointment is made would carry a degree of risk. If a managerial change is made, Ineos are eager to ensure the new head coach has the character, personality, and temperament to succeed at the club at the size and stature of Manchester United. It is also important that the new boss works with the right environment under conducive conditions. Wow. Just wow on that article, guys. Big up to all of you joining me. What are your thoughts? Let me know what you're thinking. Guten Morgen to you, Stephanie Griffith. I hope you are well. It's been good. You know what it is. Big up to you, Mental Ball Game. You know, big up, Kenny Fan TV. Have a great stream ahead. And looks like Rashford has hacked your stream. Bro, I don't know. Maybe I did get hacked earlier, but you know what? I can't do anything about it now. I just have to fight through it. It's one of those things where adversity cannot stop you, you know? But big up to all of you joining me. Guys, what are your thoughts on that article? It's real, to be fair. Like, I think that article has just, let me know that there's a process. And these guys are willing to do what it takes, whether if it's the hard decision, whether if it's the right decisions for the now, or they're going to have the patience or force the fans to have the patience to go on and make this the right thing. But at the same time, when you look at what they are talking about and the review that's possibly going to happen, it's certainly going to provide a more broad spectrum on what is happening at the club. And while the manager might be culpable for some mistakes this season, some bad decisions, maybe some bad in-game managements at some times, I don't think he's culpable to the level that it's really and truly his fault. At the same time, we have had a broad spectrum of injuries that has been unprecedented in our history as a football club especially in the Premier League era. And then when you look at the sagas that we have and the takeover, these things all had a contribution and part to play in the reason why there was, a lack or a break in concentration of the team and their performance. Guys, I might be sounding like I'm a Ten Hag in, but I'm telling you all right now, there's a lot of things that you could see from the eye, and there's a lot of things you could see over the course of the 34 games we've played so far. And when you look at it, in the Premier League, when we're talking about, it could be worse. I mean, United has been basically in top six for the entire season with all these injuries and these poor performances. So on one hand, I'm like, where's the meltdown? We are in a rebuild. We knew this last season. A lot of my fellow, YouTubers and United pundits, fans predicted Ten Hag's first season we are going to finish seventh, eighth, possibly ninth. Even some fans were saying maybe 11th. Guys, what are your thoughts on that? Because, if we predicted that we're probably going to finish ninth in the first season of Erik Ten Hag's campaign, that was based off of the players and the squad that we had going into the 22-23 season. The problem with that is we finished third. We played 2 cup finals and we won a cup, the first silverware in the last 60 years. So when I look at this, I'm saying to myself, this guy has certainly overachieved. This team certainly played above their levels that they have showed previously. And I'm just like, there's going to be a fallout. Like I've been telling Botswana, Poppy, and Mick and these guys, I expected us to lose 10 games this season in the Premier League. And I'm not just talking about overall, I'm just talking Premier League. And I'm, on the one hand, I'm not shocked because when I looked at the last summer, our manager was not backed for what he did in his first season. A lot of you might say the football was not amazing, but then again, I say the squad that he inherited was not amazing. And a lot of you who say that same thing, that his performance last season was amazing, you said we were going to finish ninth. So can you argue why we would not want to give this manager some time and maybe, the structure around him with some players recruited for the profile of the style of play he wants to play? And don't you think he would really do better? Like, that's my assumption, guys, because when I look at it prospectively, we're in a rebuild, second season, still rebuilding. The squad has not even be, 3/4 rebuilt. We have not seen an exit of 3/4 of the squad that was here before he came. And that's the biggest problem for me. A rebuild will never be successful if the squad has not been revamped. At the end of the day, we're still cosmetically trying to make up this situation and make it look pretty. It's an ugly situation and we're trying to make it look pretty, guys. And we're blaming Erik Ten Hag. You know what I mean? It's just surface level. It's shallow right now, man. Like it's hard not to be frustrated and upset with the performances this season, but all we did as a fan base was gloss over the fact that, this guy took a squad that we thought was going to finish ninth and took them to 2 cup finals and third place. And not to mention, there was a point in the season where we were competing for the title. And it's plasters on an axe wound, just like you're saying, Compost, bro. And it's just funny, man. It's just funny because when I look at this and I think about this, I'm like, why are so many fans reacting the way they're reacting to the football when this manager wanted to get certain players in the summer? He wanted to get 2 defenders, he wanted 2 midfielders, and we were broke. We were broke, bro. You know what I mean? It's hard to say because we're Manchester United, but we're Manchester United and FFP was a problem for us. Make that make sense. You know what I mean? And it's like, I can't help it, man. I can't help so much fans, whether it be Liverpool fans, they try to discredit our club. If they go back to their second and third season, they were suffering major injuries themselves under Jurgen Klopp. But here's the big difference. Under Jurgen Klopp in his second season, they had 7 to 9 signings, permanent signings, walked into the door. How many signings did we have in our second season, guys? How many? 4? One was a goalkeeper, so let's just say that. One was a loan, two was loans. One is left. One is about to leave. We really had Rasmus Højlund, Mason Mount. Man, it's true Kobe Mainoo has broken through, but when you look at Pep Guardiola in his second season, he got what 11 players came into Man City, guys. 11. It's almost certain that those 11 players would impact Manchester City and improve them so that they saw upwards progression in their second season. Where are our permanent signings to ensure upwards progression, guys? Where are they? A lot of guys, tell me, yo, Eric Ten Hag has signed this amount of players. When you look at how many loans he's had signed and the impact of those loan players, let's forget Sofian Amrabat. He has no impact really, but Serge Reguilon was decent when he was available for those few games. He put in a shift. I would say Weghorst was hugely influential in Rashford scoring the 30 plus goals he scored. Sabitzer came in and won us a few games with assists and goals, had a brace in a game and helped us win. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things where when those players leave, they leave a vacuum, a hole, a space where contributions to the performance week in, week out was coming from. Where is it in the next season? It's nowhere. It's a facade. It's an imagination. It's a figment. It's like a fake, the greatest fake of all time. When you loan a player and that player performs well in your squad and they leave at the end of the window, you have to replace that player. Because then your squad is deficient. It's lacking an article that helped make it matter last season. It's lacking that punct on the end of the full stop of the sentence. You know what I mean? Big up. You know what I mean? We have, bro. I mean, Rasmus Højlund just turned 20 or 21, guys. He's a youth. You know what I mean? Sure, he has a high potential, high profile. Probably he will succeed in the next 2 seasons and be amazing. But we needed another striker to back him up, whether it be another young striker or another, experienced striker that, could take the load. We've been lacking so much, guys. I'm pretty sure I do blame Ten Hag for some of his mistakes. There are some, the constant starting of Marcus Rashford, you know what I mean? Like Sofian Amrabat, why is he not playing? You know what I'm saying? There's lots of things that I have a problem with. But when I look at my bench during certain games, I'm like, who comes in that actually changes it? Other than someone that we hope that might do something because they're new and they have talent and potential to be great. I mean, a lot of fans are mad at Ten Hag for not playing Amad Diallo more. This guy was injured for 6 months of the season. Not only was he injured for 6 months of the season, but then when he did get a game, he got sick the week after. Wasn't available. He got another game, he scored a goal, he took off his shirt, got a red card. So he had to miss the next game. Then he was not proven fit for that game. It's just one of those things. It's just one of those things. Big up to Yarley coming in. There's actually no excuses for the results of this season. Everyone got injuries. We blame medical. I blame the overall structure from training. Yeah, I don't think that comment actually impacts or reflects the context of our season. You can say that everyone has had injuries, but look at our squad, my bro. We started the season off with 16 injuries. 16. You know what I mean? And not only that, we had players who went to war with the manager, like Jadon Sancho. We had a player who was protested out by the fan base that messed up our transfer window, Mason Greenwood. You know what I mean? We sent a lot of players out on loan. And I have an article here that's going to say something about that John Murtaugh kind of forced or, convinced Ten Hag while he was unwilling to loan out a bunch of the players that we loaned out, which left us backup-less, right? And I want to argue, a lot of you fans are talking from this perspective where you think the manager should have just kept the same system that he played last season. What changes? That system last season is not the style of play that the club wants to play. Next, make it make sense. The system also got the benefit of players who are unable to play the style of play that we want to play. When are we going to change? So I believe all of you guys are saying that, he should keep the same formation so we could keep the same players another season because they would perform well again. That makes no sense, bro. Reverting back to something from last season makes no sense. I can't see the logic there. Tell me what's the progressive logic in that when we know we needed a squad rebuild, open heart surgery the season before he came, when it finished. Ralph Ragnick said, open heart, we need 10 players out, 10 players in, so we can build the squad for the system. You guys keep talking about stubbornness, but you guys are more stubborn yourselves because you're not even looking at the fact that reverting back does not progress. But you guys are arguing about progression, about the positive progression of the squad and the performance this season, but you don't want to progress. You want to revert because you guys want to win more than you want the team to be rebuilt. More than you want the team to be successful in the future. You want to win now. And that's what a lot of you fans need to admit. You know what I mean? Because for me, Yali, I understand what you're saying. And yeah, it's pretty much go back to default, reset if it's not working. But at the same time, we're in a rebuild, implementing a new style of play. So what supersedes reset? Building the squad to fit the style of play. Why is that not making sense? Why? Could someone tell me, why does it not make sense to continue rebuilding the squad, getting players out and bringing players in who can actually play the style that we want to play going forward, bro? It's the only thing no one can seem to answer. Every single one wants to give it to another manager, right? But they don't want to give it to the manager here who proved last season that if he plays according to a system that suits the players that he has, he will do well. People are too focused on these players. They're not the ones to take us forward, guys. The majority of them are not the ones. The core of this team has won us nothing in the last 8 years, where most of them were present. Who wasn't here for 8, 9, 10, 7, 6, or 5 seasons already? We haven't won anything. Why are everyone so focused on winning with these players? Why can't we have new players come into the squad that help us win going forward in the future? Is change and difference so scary, guys? Is that so terrifying? I mean, we already haven't won much in the last decade. Yeah, we're Man United. Yeah, but where were we? How many finals did Oli get to? One Europa Cup final? Ten Hag is at his 3rd final in 18 months, bro. That's back-to-back seasons. That means his standard is always getting to a final in a cup. We are not about to have the worst season ever, Yali. I guess some of you forget that David Moyes inherited the defending champions of the Premier League the season before, and he finished 7th. What cup final did he play in? What cup run did he have? Nada. Zilch. 0. That's the worst. When people say it was embarrassing on Saturday, we've lost to MK Dons 4-0. We lost to Derby County on penalties. We lost to Middlesbrough. Sheffield Wednesday. All their cup previous seasons. Before, bruh, bruh. Listen, I'm all for them. I'm not too stuck on this manager, but I'm definitely against the manager having been sacked because of these players are incapable of adapting and evolving to the current style of play. Worst start in 60 years. Bro, I don't care about that, bro. I don't know why man care about these things. 60 years is longer than your lifespan and my own, bro. I don't care about those things, bro. Like, bro, worst Champions League season, we score more goals than Newcastle, bro. Our striker was the top scorer up until the round of 16 ended. Last match is when Harry Kane scored a goal that took him to above Hoyland, right? So I argue that maybe on the surface our performance in the Champions League was not good as a team. But let me be real, we had more goalkeeping errors that cost us goals than anything else in the Champions League because we was averaging 3 goals a game in the Champions League. I mean, we went to Munich and scored 3 on Bayern, 4 with a disallowed goal. Arsenal couldn't score a goal. Arsenal, who's unstoppable in the Premier League this season, couldn't score a goal against Bayern, guys. You know what I mean? So like, I don't understand. Like, I understand that we are Manchester United. I understand that fans are disappointed in this season. But guys, are we really thinking, right? I just wanted to ask this question to every single body that watching. And those of you who are not in the live and the non-live, leave a comment because this is the $1,000,000 question for me. Did anyone really think in a second year of a rebuild with less than 10 first team players being sold and less than 10 players actually coming into the club permanently, right? Would have us competing for a title while we are changing our style of play from the style of play that the core of group of players has been playing for the last 5 seasons. Did anyone really think we were going to be in top 4 this season? Because I understand we finished third and you could expect progression, but we are in a rebuild. Why is this rebuild part being glossed over by everyone? Why is everyone thinking, oh, we're in a rebuild, but we're still supposed to win? Chelsea has been in 10th for the majority of the season after they spent $1 billion in the same 2 windows and brought in about 20-something players. How many players have we brought in for this new manager, bro? You know what I mean? We don't even have a squad that we could say is for the future after 18 months under this manager. You know, where is the support? ETH thought we would be in top 4 because he was, you know what? He was depending on players who performed last season to perform again. And any normal football coach would do that. Any normal, bro, like if you were working in sales and you were the #1 salesman for that company in that year, the next year they are going to expect you to be in the top 2 again, in the top 3 again. It's pretty natural. They're going to expect that kind of performance from you another time because you did it already. You can't blame someone for backing someone to do something that they've done before. Right? I'm not saying that the manager has not made mistakes, guys. But what I'm saying is if you take away, if you subtract Ten Hag for a second and you look at the squad, you really look at the squad, right? Forget the youngsters, minus the players who injured currently. Like, you know, the ones who injured most of the season because they pretty much didn't contribute much in the few games that they played, right? Forget the 76 goals and the conceded, bro. Box, this is a rebuild. Do you really think in a rebuild you're not going to concede lots of goals? You're not going to lose games? Like, if you're changing a style of play and you have to rebuild a squad, obviously it's going to go left in some moments. Obviously, It's going to have bad moments, bro. It's not going to be smooth sailing. Liverpool finished 8th. Man City finished 7th under Pep first season, or 5th or something like that. Pep Guardiola, who everybody says the greatest manager alive. And he had multiple players come into his squad every single season. He got a rebuild, full squad, changeover, squad, players. Klopp, Arteta. Look at Arsenal, guys. You guys talk about Arteta, and you guys talk about Arsenal, right? Look at Arsenal, bro. 3 seasons they did nothing. Nothing. Worse than Ten Hag. First 2 seasons. Well, double check that just now. Look at it like this, right? We already knew before Ten Hag come we needed to rebuild the squad. Why are fans acting like the squad don't need to be rebuilt? They should be doing better. This is my problem. We all agreed before Ten Hag first started that this team needed a rebuild. Ten Hag come, these players better than they are. They're supposed to be doing better than that, yeah? Bro, the rebuild starts now. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you all a question. The rebuild starts now. Y'all could take all finishing 8 next season, 8 the following season before we actually go back to top 4. This is just me asking the question. Because comparatively speaking, it could get really worse before it gets better, guys. We could finish outside of the top 10 for the next 2 seasons under a new manager with more new players, etc., etc. Are y'all really ready for that? Because I mean, we in 6th, we in 7th right now. We definitely not going to finish 7th. In my opinion, we definitely finish in the top 6. But I could be wrong about that. At the same time, I hear for it, bro. Is 6th. It ain't that bad for a squad that I think need rebuilding, that hasn't been rebuilt properly, and still need more time. And a manager who I've seen perform when he plays a system that suits the players, he performed well. So I could imagine if it applies to this squad, he apply it to a squad of players that have players who can actually play the way he wants to play. Obviously, he's going to do better. Exactly, Compose. Exactly, Compose. We weren't winning. Weren't going to be winning big trophies under the Glazer-only leadership. This is going to take years to fix. Man, them want to blame Ten Hag because these players are rubbish. And that's most of them. When I say most of them, I'm talking about the core group of players who've been here since before Ten Hag, bro. This is what I'm talking about. The core group who Ten Hag inherit. Because most of them here. Most of them are who you have to look to the bench for. Dross. Bro, I don't know why everyone is so focused on having a say. Who cares? Ten Hag came from a club where he had a backroom staff and a board and a technical director, a sporting director, a DOF, who did most of these things, and he would just give input. He's used to this. Why is everyone making this seem, making some imaginary statement that Ten Hag want to be in control like a dictator, bro? The man don't. Furthermore, if I was Ten Hag, I would have wanted to control transfers coming into the club when it had no structure, because it was a bunch of idiots. And I don't believe half of them are United fans working for this club. And people could be mad at me for saying that, but when you look at the way they negotiate and the way they overspend money and put us into this hole of expenditure, poor negotiations, poor dealings, right? You could argue that these people are actual United fans with the effort levels that they put towards their job that impacts our club. I don't. Because if I was a United fan working in the back room, bro, if I had to work night and day to make sure it's right, I would be working night and day, because you know what? I know my little contribution will go a long way. to helping my club keep maintain the standard of elite that it is at. But we have not done this, guys. We have not. Haven't. It's not happening. Box, you talk about these short-term buys: Varane, Schweinsteiger, Cavani, Falcao, Ibrahimovic. Cavani, Ibrahimovic, Ronaldo, these guys came back. Imagine, right? Having some of the most elite strikers in football, and we have a winger that still failing to get top assist or getting double figures of assists just in the Premier League playing alongside these players. Bruh. Compose. Non-existent sales. We've literally given players away. Bro, man, them want to blame Ten Hag for spending 90 million, but for years, players just leave this club for free. Giveaway sale. Imagine we selling young talent for 100,000. Young Mark Jurado, who was one of the top wing backs on the right, coming out of the under-18s in the league. We sell him for what? 1.1 million? Bro, it's a man them who never kick a ball. Like Trafford, going to Burnley for 20 million, bro. A goalkeeper. A goalkeeper. Bro, guys, I don't know, bro, but somehow, bro, I kind of just be mad. I for the last couple of years, I just mad at a lot of people working at Manchester United. Of course, not Cathy, because she's make amazing coffee for the guys. She's heard a lot about her, but a lot of people in the backroom staff, some of the coaches, like the set piece coach, like, bro, he had to not be a United fan. The way our set pieces were happening, he had to hate us secretly or something. It's crazy. Bruv, Box, a lot of these things is what fans forget. We look in surface, yeah, the football not going and be good, not good right now, it's not great, but guys, like, honestly, in my honest opinion, I've always been looking at it like, yo, this is the second season of a rebuild. We need more players to come into the squad, because I want to give Ten Hag a balanced judgment. And in order to give him a balanced judgment, let me divide the squad. If the squad is 26 players, is 30 players, he need to have 17 or 18 players of that fit his style of play or in the profile of our attacking, expansive, possession-based team style, and then a season so I can judge him. Because I am 100% sure if he had players, at least 5 more players in this squad this season that suit his style of play, experienced players as well, like early 20s, 21, 22, 24, 25, bro, we would be definitely in top 4. We would have been in top 4. We probably would still be in the Champions League. And people might say I'm crazy, but if you just think about it on the flip side, it's possible. We need to back this manager, not because he's the be-all and end-all, but because he's implementing something different in difficult circumstances, right? Also experiencing other circumstances, right? Without proper backing. And we are fans, as fans, said 18 months ago, we're not going to do the shit that we're doing right now. We all said it, bro. We all said we're going to back the next manager for 3 seasons. We all said that. Yeah, but you know what? As the going get tough, we bailing off the ship, guys. We are bailing on this manager, hanging him out to dry just like the ownership did in the summer. And we are United fans, guys. This is crazy. This is crazy stuff, man. Bro, I feel sad for the guy sometimes. I feel mad because when you look at the squad, we were up 3-0 in that game previously, and it was like, what? How do we lose? How do we drop those points? It's crazy, bro. It's crazy, right? Let me just close this off by bringing in this article, guys, because I didn't want to talk too much. Plus, I know a lot of you are going to jump into the reckless business. You know what I mean? But I just wanted to bring this out so guys, you could understand what happened with a lot of the loans that we did this summer. Because a lot of people think Ten Hag just loaned out the squad. Well, this article is going to show you that, like I was probably saying, he was convinced. The one saving grace in this injury-stricken season for Manchester United has been the emergence of youngsters. The academy has come through in a big way, and Erik ten Hag has been able to rely on those in the academy to successfully add to his squad. Furthermore, it has lots more doors opening for young players to join the first team, in training if not games. The likes of Shea Lacey and Lewis Jackson, who are not even regulars for the under-21 side, have trained with the first team. However, the Athletic reports that United have had to temper Erik ten Hag's tendency of putting young players in the first team training to look at the big picture instead. The report states that the manager wanted most of the under 21s or under 18 players to stay at the club so that he could add numbers to his training sessions. However, that's when John Murtough, United's new now departed director of football, had to step in and tell the manager of a more beneficial route. Murtough had to convince Ten Hag that letting the players leave on loan to get proper taste of senior football would be much more beneficial for their growth than playing for the academy and training with the first team. It can be seen that in January, United let a lot of players explore loan moves, with the likes of Joe Hugel, Radek Vitek, and more going out on loan. This has prompted Erik ten Hag to dip even further into academy resources to call up 16 and 17-year-olds to the first team. It can be argued that it has benefited everyone, since playing above their age group is benefiting the young players, while others who are older than them are getting senior experience elsewhere. Guys, it's one of those things for me with that article that says to me that, the manager, he wants to see what the youth has to offer so he could probably bring them in and promote them into the squad. And while, having some of these lads go out on loan is good for their progress, but, they could have been playing this season, replacing us with all the injuries, some of them who were already out on loan. Exactly, Box. For me, I am under the same impression. And this is also one of the reasons why I say we have to credit Ten Hag, guys, because, a lot of managers might come in and they might only pick from the under 21s. And as you and I both, I've been watching them for the last 5 seasons, bro. The under 21s, this group has sorely underwhelmed. Their performances have gone downhill ever since Ollie came into the squad. Shola Shoretiri has been off it. Hugel, off it. Williams, okay-ish. McNeil, I'm not too sure about him. You know what I mean? But the under 21s, with the change, since the change in the tactical style of play, the academy has been revamped in the 2022-23 season, guys. Right? I want to tell you this. When they were revamped, a lot of youngsters were sold. 27 were sold that season, right? And based on that, a lot of youngsters were promoted and, of course, recruited. And the under 18s became a group of players who were 16 and 17 years old. The under 21s has been revamped for the most part, because some of the under 18s were promoted, as most of the players who left came from the under 21s and 23 camp. So now there's progression in the squad, as this young group has benefited and won the league the very next season. Now we're going to see a lot of promotions and more players being promoted. Excuse me. So it's one of those things, guys, where, the future is bright. We don't have to always be looking at purchasing players going forward. We might have the wealth of some players coming through the squad, Yeah, Shola Shorty was showing some promise, but his performances this season have left unseen, my bro. Like, it's either he's carrying the ball too much, or he thinks he's Messi now, because it's not going well for him. And if it was, I'm telling you, he would already be in the United squad right now, because we're lacking. He has really, really good ability on the ball, but his decision making has gone way left, far left, bro, far left. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I hope it would get better for the squad. I hope the manager is given some time, because I really feel like the fan base needs to have a little bit of patience, because, it's a rebuild at the end of the day, and you had to have some form of concession for the fact that we might lose, we might draw, and it might get bad in some points of this season. And I feel like that was the one understated thing and element by a lot. So they are very disappointed, and justifiably so. As a Manchester fan, you deserve to win, or the game should be amazing. But at the same time, it just hasn't been that way, and it's disappointing, and it's some people might feel embarrassed by it, but I implore you all to take the time and consideration to look back on the season, look back on the facts, what we all sat when we all sat here 18 months ago, as the season was coming to close and we were just about to appoint Eric Ten Hag, because it's April 23rd today, and in 11 days we would have hired Eric Ten Hag. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where the manager came in 11 days from now, 18 months ago or 2 years ago, and he gave a short list of players that he wanted to get. And as United does every transfer window, they don't buy well. And if they had bought those players early, the price would have been half. We would have spent maybe 180 million instead of 262 million. That would be a net save of about $78 million, guys. You know what I mean? So if you look at some of the bad things that happened naturally because of the club during his camp when he came in the first few months, you have to always look at it like he was on the back foot. You know what I mean? Always placed in a difficult situation, because we all said that this squad that he inherited, and I'm talking about the core group of players here, that they weren't good enough. We need a lot of them replaced, but they're still here. And now we say that these players are better than they are, and he needs to do better with them. This is the point at which I think it makes no sense to me. You know what I mean? With due respect to everyone, I just feel like we already knew before he came that most of these players needed to leave. Now that he's here and what he's done last season with these players, we all have this impression that they should just be better. But they aren't. They're the same players that we wanted out the season right before he arrived. They are the same players. They have limitations. Some of them are adapting slowly, some of them can't. Some of them maybe are willing, some of them maybe are willing and cannot, and some of them may be unwilling, but if they were, they probably could. Now, I just feel like the most important thing to do as a fan is to support the manager, because this cycle, it's not been good for us. The core group of players, they've not won for us. So for me, a lot of those same players have performed their best last season, and since we've bought them, or since they've came through to the squad, their best season was last season, most of them. So for me, I'm just gonna say it like this: it's time. It's time we have some humility as United fans. Whether you're mad at me for saying that or not, I'm not trying to drop our standards. I'm just trying to be realistic. I'm just trying to say to you all, listen, we need this squad rebuilt. And while you all might say this manager is terrible, another manager with this same squad is not going to be much better. Some players are injury prone, some players are, incapable, some players lack football IQ, some players don't have the talent, but they have all the right emotions. It's just complicated. And I think being in the top six this season with all the injuries and all the sagas, the takeover, and all the issues was pretty good for a manager in his second season in a club that's major, that's under the microscope of every single media house and fan in football. You know what I mean? And it's like, how? How do we just blame him? How? How do we give another manager more players and not give it to him? When his first season, He got us third, a cup, and 2 cup finals. His second season, we're in seventh, right? But we could still finish sixth, and we're already in the FA Cup final. I mean, that shows some consistency that we're going to get to a cup final every season under this manager. And we're going to be fighting for top six with this manager because he finished third last season. But you can't forget that for like 3 weeks, we were in second place. We could have been fighting for the title last season in his first season. It's a bit crazy when you look at it. You know what I mean? I just feel like I don't like the way the press disrespect our manager, bro. And for me, I think it lacks grace, it lacks class. You know what I mean? It lacks respect on all levels, just for another human being. It has nothing to do with he's earning more money than anyone or anything like that. He's better than anyone. It's just common decency. You know what I mean? The way that they've been hounding Eric Ten Hag all season, it's like they hate the guy. And as a fan of Manchester United, I could never trust the media for that. I could never trust the BBC. I could never trust ESPN. I could never trust anything any of them say. Because they just hate openly, attack him. You know what I mean? Are they nice people? I don't know. I don't know any of them personally. But from what I've seen from their journalistic tactics and the news reports that they're making, they're definitely not genuine. You know what I mean? So while it might be disappointing, guys, and while you all might be suffering from, embarrassment from the performances of United this season, I implore you all to just remember that rival fans, they don't like us. The media, they just want to use us to make money. And you know what? Sometimes the going gets tough before it gets better. So big up to all of you joining me. Thank you so much for being here. I've been ranting for the last 50 or so minutes, and I don't know if I was making much sense, but it's just how I feel about Manchester United and the state of events right now. And you know what? Don't forget, later on in a couple hours, we're going to have the manager's press conference. I'm going to be joining Mick on MUFC Readers TV Live to bring that to you all. I hope you all will be there to join us. Don't forget to smash a like and subscribe on this video. Help me to grow the channel. I've been trying to grow this channel to 1,000 subscribers for the last couple months. I'm on about 200, guys, so I'm trying to see if I could get to at least 300 by the end of this month. Big up to you. Give it a share and a like and a retweet if you're on X. And thank you so much. I hope you all have a great day. I will see you all later. It's your boy, MarkN, MUFC fan. And you know what to do. Smash a like and subscribe, guys.